Hi everybody, it's Lavinia and welcome to my channel. Today is day one of my daily art challenge, at least for the month of April. I'm going to try to do some sort of art, whether it's drawing or sewing or doodling or anything like that, just to keep motivated in the month of April, and hopefully it will go on beyond that. So for today's video, I put a picture in my community post about this bird here. And I'm using this reference photo from this book, Birds of Arizona Field Guide by Stan Tequila. And it's this picture here. It's a juniper titmouse. I don't know if I've seen these here where we live. Maybe, we have quite a few different birds that come and visit us. So I did a light sketch of the bird in this watercolor sketchbook that I bought at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to be using my Master's Touch watercolor brush marker. So these are in gray. So I'm going to be using a little bit of gray. Looks like there's a little bit of yellow here. So again, just as a reference, I have my water here, my watercolor, my water brush, water. I also have my heat embossing tool. This is just to help dry the painting, just in case, as I'm videotaping this, just for the time. And I also have this. It's a sable essence. It's by Grumbacher. I don't even remember when it is that I bought this, but it's just a fine tip brush just for some of the little details, maybe for the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I also posted on my community page this other bird that I had painted using the real brush pens, and I have to fix the eye. I need it to be a little bit wider. I was trying to use this Faber-Castell, calligraphy white 101 Pitt pen, but it didn't really work. Maybe there's just too much black on there, so I have to get my Jelly Roll pen and see if I can fix that, or maybe some white gouache. But I just like the way the colors blended together. So again, this is not a realistic type of painting that I'm doing, just using the photo for reference. So I think first what I'm going to do is probably just start with a little bit of the yellow here for the belly and put that in. Just a little bit there. And now maybe with this lighter gray. I don't think they have the actual color listed on here, but it's the lightest of the grays. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding that in. And what I like about these colors, though, even though this is gray, it has like a little bit of blue in it. And when you start adding the water, you actually get to see what other pigments are in here. So I'm just going to add here. So have any of you ever done a daily art challenge or anything like that? Just curious. This is the first time I'm going to attempt it. So now I'm going to take my aqua brush and just take the water. I do have a rag here that I use, and I'm just going to start to blend that in. And so the water will do a lot of the work. And we'll see how it turns out. Still a little bit chilly here, so I have a cup of hot cocoa as well. Just gonna blend that there. And you can see how it's starting to turn a little bit blue here, like the colors, the pigments inside that dye are dividing. Okay, I'm just gonna rinse that out. Just gonna get this darker gray, and let's see. So just wanted you to notice, I think I had mentioned this in one of the other videos, that if there's water on the page, it will start to sort of dilute the tip of the pen, of the brush pen. So you can see how the color is kind of going back up into the pen. So you just want to be aware of that, that as you use the brushes, these type of brushes, that if there's water already on the page, the color may go back into the pen. And then as you start to use it on drier areas, it'll start to come back out. So here I'm just delineating, I guess, where the wing is. A little bit darker here. A little bit darker here underneath the beak. And here by where the chin is, and also here by the eye. So it looks like these grays have more blue in them. Even a little bit of brown and pink. I don't know if you can tell here. Looks like there's some pinks and browns that are starting to come out. And as it starts to dry, the colors on the page again will move with the water. So I may just let that dry naturally, because if I do use the heat embossing tool, it's going to change how it actually dries and the properties of the watercolor in here itself. So I might just let that dry for a little bit naturally, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so it's still drying, but as you can see, the colors here, I mean, I didn't use any blue or pinks, and especially here at the outline. So just be aware of that, and probably what I need to do is do a swatch of the colors. Just a separate color chart, and add the water, have some areas where it's just dry, no water, and then with the water, and then see exactly what happens, so that if I use these in the future, I know what to expect. So I thought what I would do next is maybe just add a little bit of this brownish color here, and let's see what happens there. So maybe here where the wing is. But these are fun. If you wanted to try something different than just using watercolors themselves, you can use these for calligraphy, I suppose, hand lettering. You can use them dry. You don't have to add water if you don't want to either. When I paint in the eye and the beak, I am going to make sure that the painting is dry, because I don't want any of the black to mix into the body of the bird. I can show you actually. I did some butterflies the other day. Let me see. Yeah, it's on this page here. And in these, I did put the black when it was still wet, and I kind of like that effect. So here it's sort of bled into the wings of the butterfly, and then I went over it again with black. So that part stands out. But as you can see, and I think I called it the luminosity of butterflies, this page here, just because I just like the colors and how, again, they bled and what they look like. So, all right, and maybe I will try, let's see, go back to some more of the gray. gray here, darker here, and here under the wing. It almost reminds me of like an atmospheric type of painting with the way that the colors mix together. So maybe, again, just add a little bit of water and we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just dab on the water and then let it do its thing rather than using the brush itself. Put maybe a little bit more of the brown down here too. All right, and I'll let that start to do its thing. Be back in a moment. All right, so this is what it's looking like. I actually like how the edges are now starting to soften in here. I'm going to take my heat tool and dry it up a little bit more because I want to go ahead and start with the eye and the beak and here the feet and probably the branch as well. Okay, so it's pretty dry now. So what I'm going to do next is the beak and the eye, and I guess here also the feet. And what I'm going to do is actually use the ink and put it in one of these little wells here and then use the paintbrush to paint that on. So let me just find the color. So I think what I'm going to do is actually mix a little bit of the black, because this black too will have different colors in it. That's how they make this black here. So I'm going to put that black, and I think I'm also going to add the darkest of these browns. So I'm just going to put that there. And I think with just a little bit of water, I'm just going to mix the two here. Just so that it's not totally black. Okay, let me move this back up. Okay, so I'm just gonna, and I have a little dot there, a little circle where I want to leave it white. So I'm just gonna try, let's get a little bit more water. Could probably also do this with like a micron pen. Okay, and then here I'm just gonna do the top of the beak. And you can see, even though it's a little bit dry, the color of the eye is starting to go into the bird, but that's okay. Gives it like a shadow. So I'm doing the top of the beak and then here the bottom. I'm gonna get maybe a little bit more of the black and put that on top, as well as here on the bottom where it's a little bit darker. Then I think I'm going to rinse it out and get a little bit more of the brown instead. And put that here in the middle. Now it also depends on the type of watercolor paper you have too. So this one looks like it soaks up a lot of that water, so it gives that feathery look. As you can see here, you know, that blue from the gray actually bled out a little bit more than the line that I was at. So it just depends also on your paper, but you know what, birds have feathers, so that's okay. And I can always go in if I wanted to and maybe use a micron marker or a you know, one of these graphic markers if I wanted to outline it, maybe put in the semblance of the feathers themselves. But for now, this is what I'm going to do. So I am going to take a little bit more water and just dab that line where the beak meets the feathers, and that will blend itself in. So here for the eye, I'm going to put just a little bit more of the black. As you can see, when it dries, it turns a little bit more brown, but I'm just going to put a little bit more black there. And again, I may go over that with the graphic marker just to make it stand out a little bit better. There we go. And I might just put a little bit with the touch here where the shadow is. And then maybe just a little bit more here where the shadow is. And this is just that mixture of the brown with the black. This is where that top of the wing was. You want to put just a little bit more water. So I'm going to blend that out there. Actually, I might use my aqua brush just to get those bigger shadows in there. I actually like the way this is turning out. Again, I was not looking for it to look like the reference photo. It was more the shape of the bird. So as you can see, when I add more water here, the colors start to bloom. So just be aware of that as well. But I actually kind of like that. A bit more shadow there. I'm just adding water just so that those colors again will blend in. I don't want to get close to the eye now that it's dry because I don't want it to mix with that black there. Okay, let's start now with the feet. So let's see, I might go with this darker brown. Just put that in there. A little bit here, and then and as far as for the bark of the tree, I might, let's see, I might still use these browns, and then I can always go over the claws. I think I'm going to put more water here. I'm going to take some of that mixture of the black with that brown as well. That looks more of the gray of the original bird, but I'm going to go ahead and put that in here just to give it that shadow. rinse out my brush. And let's see, maybe I'll put in a little bit of orange as well. So you can start to see that when the painting is dry and then you add more water, it does this kind of effect here. So just be aware of that. And as you can see where I had put in that darker, like the black and the brown, it kind of started to turn like a purplish color. So I'm just going to add more of that effect there. Again, it kind of gives that atmospheric quality. I don't know if you ever heard of atmospheric paintings. I'm trying to remember her name. I think her last name is Haynes. She has a couple of books out on that. But so again, just going to go ahead and let this dry here a little bit, and I'll be back. Okay, well, it's still a little bit damp. I'm just going to go ahead and mix in with a damp aqua brush the colors here. So let's say you don't want these harsh lines, you can just go ahead and blend that in. And I don't know if you can tell, but as I'm doing this, the water is actually pushing the colors. So again, it's just kind of cool to see this effect. I think maybe I will add, let's see, a little bit more of the gray here for the shadow. A bit more of the dry brush here for the claws. This is a little bit of the lighter brown, so I'm going to add that there, just in between. You know, so this is just a way to play with your colors, play with what you have. I think that's the main thing. I just want to get in the habit of using what I have rather than going to buy more and just have it sort of sit in my craft room. I went to Hobby Lobby today, and I don't know about your Hobby Lobby if you have one, but it seems like they're getting more into the home decor rather than the hobby items. For example, what I mean is that I'm just using here the dark gray. It looks like there's more items for home decor and things like that that are in spaces where the craft items used to be. So I don't know, it's just kind of odd. This is just a dry brush gray I'm just adding on top here. This is that mixture of the black with that dark brown. Just going to add that there. And I just want to blend that in. This is that lighter brown. So I have to figure what I want to do for tomorrow as far as for my second day of drawing or second day of art. If I want it, maybe I might do a drawing. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to let this dry, and then I probably will come back with the graphic art pen and define the eye and the beak as well as the claws. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and define the eye and the beak. So I'm using the Graphic 1.0 from Master's Touch. This again is the Hobby Lobby brand. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that circle. Maybe just below the eye too, right there. And then for the beak, maybe just a little line there. Right there. I don't know if I should do the wings or not, so I think I'm going to leave that for now. But I think I'll go ahead and just put here for the claws. Okay, I actually like the way the eye turned out. So I'm not going to do a background. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that. Again, this is a sketchbook. It's for you to test out. That's really what sketchbooks are for you to test out ideas, maybe do thumbnail sketches. You know, this is my watercolor one, but I have drawing and other types of sketchbooks too, where, you know, let's say you wanted to do something larger or wanted to sell something. You know, these books are just to give you ideas, to test things out, and really to get you motivated to use your art tools. So I think that's about it. So let's see. This is called the Juniper Titmouse. And I just like to add on here also the date. So today is 4/1/23, and I just put here it's my initials and then Master's Touch, just so that I know brush markers. So if I ever want to go back, I can go ahead and take a look at that and see what I used. So thanks so much for joining me in this first day of my personal art challenge, and I hope to see you soon. If you have any questions, just let me know. Take care, everyone. Bye.